Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake, and what we're going to make is Italian sponge cake. This particular sponge cake you can use for tiramisu, cassata cake, or any kind of cake really. You can put any kind of frosting, icing, fondant over it. You can put fresh fruit with it. It comes out in an extremely light and delicate cake. It's absolutely just delicious. It's a pretty easy recipe, yet the hardest part is actually getting the eggs prepared. So let's get started, and I want to describe how to make this Italian sponge cake. First off, what you want to do is you want 4 extra large eggs, and you'll want to have them sit at room temperature. You don't want to start beating them cold. Put them in your stand-up mixer, because there's so much mixing. You can do it by hand, but your hand's going to get tired, I guarantee you. So I like to use my stand-up. Now, you can, if you don't have a whip attachment and you just have a paddle attachment, it can still be done. I prefer to use my whip attachment, but the paddle will work great too. Now, after you get your eggs in your mixing bowl, start to beat them. And I beat them on high, medium to high, for at least 10 minutes or so. It could even be 15 minutes. But you want them to be very light, very fluffy, and very pale yellow in color. So mine are usually done, well, I would say within about 10 minutes. Within that time frame where I see it light, pale, and fluffy, then you're going to add a half a cup plus 1.5 tablespoons of granulated sugar, a little at a time. And it's going to start to beat in with that. Then you're going to also add a teaspoon of vanilla. And then you're going to continue to beat that till it becomes extremely fluffy. Okay, and how you're going to be able to tell if it's ready is that when you take the wet and you just take a spatula, as I am, and go across the let's call it a batter, okay, it'll stay on top. It won't just blend underneath, meaning it's too liquefied, it's too, too thin. And that's another how you'll know that it's ready. Now I'm going to just beat this for just a few seconds on high, so I want to warn you about the noise. I went ahead and did this process so that I could move the video along. Okay, so that's why I did that ahead of time, and not to show you that portion of it. So here it goes. Now, I'm going to take out my whisk here. Now, what you want to do is you don't want to move this batter around a lot, because you want to keep that air in it. And as I said, you'll want to have it about that consistency. So when you ribbon it on the top, it stays on the top. If it sinks to the bottom, beat it longer. This is the only hard part of this cake, is really this, and the rest it goes by so quickly. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to need all-purpose flour. So use 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sift a little of it over the batter, as you see, and then I'm just going to lightly fold it. I'm not going to over stir. I just want to fold it in. So take your time. You'll want to be patient at this point. I usually get it done in about 3, dividing that flour up in 3 segments. Okay, and then again, just fold it. You want to keep that air, because that's what's going to keep this cake so lightweight. So just fold it over. You do have to mix the flour, but you don't have to overbeat it. Just try to fold it in. Okay. All right, I really got to get to the bottom there because I can see that the flour still is not combined yet. So just ever so lightly fold it. All right, we'll put the rest of it in. You can use a strainer, of course. You don't have a sifter. And then again, just keep folding it in till you know the flour and everything has combined. Your sides of your bowl are clean, everything's mixed in. Now, you're going to be baking this cake at a 340 degrees, okay, Fahrenheit. Now, once you do bake it, okay, it's going to take a little bit of time, and it takes about 40 minutes. Mine, I start checking it around 30 minutes, but it always seems to come up right at that 40. Now, another thing that you'll want to keep in mind is don't open your oven for at least 20 minutes. If you need to check this cake, check it after 20 minutes. Don't open it because we don't want anything to deflate. Okay? And I think it looks like it is ready. Okay. Now the pan that I'm using is 3.5 by 8. I like a nice tall pan. I went ahead and heavily greased it, and I put flour on it. And then when we put the batter in, I'm going to try to get the bowl as low as I can because, again, I don't want to break up the air. So I try to just quickly get it in there and put the bowl, mixing bowl, as close to this pan. Another thing you don't want to do is level this cake. As you see, I'm just putting that batter in there. You don't want to level it, and you don't want to tap your pan. Again, let's keep that air in there. Okay. There we go. Okay. And again, you'll want to put it in the oven at 340 degrees, and it takes, you know, anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes to bake up. Now, in the last 10 minutes after this is all, you know, baked, in other words, 40 minutes is already went by, what I like to do is I actually put a wooden spoon, shut my oven off, put a wooden spoon just to keep the door of the oven open a little bit, and let that cake sit in there for at least 10 minutes so that it'll be, you know, cooling down in a slower way. So again, after it's thoroughly baked, shut the oven off. I like to keep my door open with a spoon, or if your oven door will stay open a little bit on its own, and let that cake sit in that oven that's been shut off for 10 minutes. Then you can, you know, unplate it, put it on a cooling rack, and then put it on a plate, that type of thing. Okay, let me rinse my hands real quick, and then I want to show you how nice this cake comes out. And this is what it's going to look like. I don't know if you can see, but how nice and tall this cake came out with a beautiful golden brown to it. And surprisingly enough, it is the lightest cake. What I did was I actually weighed a cake with a little bit of frosting, a regular, you know, cake, run-of-the-mill cake, and it weighed about 3 pounds. When I weighed this, it weighed 18. So you can tell by the weight of the cake how extremely light and airy this cake is, okay? And you'll really enjoy, you know, you can cut it into, instead of just in half, you can cut it into 3 or that type of thing. And it just makes a beautiful cake for, you know, as I said, tiramisu or cassata cake or that type of thing, okay? All right, so I'm going to just cut into it here with a small piece. I had it actually in the refrigerator because if I don't, someone turns out and takes a piece or starts eating it before I can do my video. So this is a little cold because it just came out of the refrigerator. But anyway, it has an extremely light crumb to it. It's absolutely the lightest, the most delicate cake you'll ever taste. It just melts in your mouth. I hope you give this a try. If you do try this recipe and you like it, well, leave a comment because I'd like to hear from you. And as always, I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake. Please subscribe to my channel. And I want to tell you that all my videos, over 500 videos, are only on YouTube. So please watch my videos on YouTube, okay? Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.